Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com. Hey y'all, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Tuesday, and we're going to talk about 90 Day the Other Way, Season 4, Episode 412, The Tell-All, Part 2. Hi, Kimberly.
Woohoo! We've made it to the finish, the gauntlet.
We made it.
We did it. We're crossing the line.
I have to say, overall, this was a very good season.
It didn't feel as long and drawn out. I don't know if it was actually shorter, but it felt shorter than some of the other seasons. Where it's like, if I ever see this couple again, I will stab them in the face with my fork. Sorry, that was very violent.
Yeah,
but you know when you get so used to them so fast and then you hate them.
Yeah, we started this journey January 29th. So we've had February, March, April, May. We've had 4 months of this.
Interesting. That does seem long.
17 episodes total.
See, I think the other ones might have been longer, 20 something.
I feel that that's true. And then how many episodes I asked that we're getting of 90 Day Love in Paradise? We're getting 12 episodes. So that's
much lesser.
It's a lesser program.
If I had done one more episode with Kris and Jeymi, I wouldn't have made it. I would have just been like, I gotta dip out, Mary Payne. I can't.
I know
that no one agrees.
You wouldn't have done that to me. You would not have done that to me. But because it's just so back and forth, and you just can't tell who's telling the truth.
I think I'm on the different side of America in that I believe Kris 60% and believe Jeymi 40%. I believe neither. I don't like either of them. I think they're both super shady, but I don't hate Jeymi or Kris as much as everyone else seems to.
I don't hate her. I think obviously she's got some major things going on that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And I think Debbie has said on her social media, she said the reason she seemed so pro Kris, anti Jeymi was because they were told very specifically backstage not to jump on Kris because she has mental health issues. That's what she said. That's what Debbie said.
So she went back and she did the opposite and
right.
called Jeymi a scam artist.
Right.
And lazy.
Right. You could not jump on somebody without jumping on the other person. It's not either or. Right.
No, you could have just said nothing, Debbie.
Right. Yeah, she did call her lazy.
And let me do all the bad takes. That's my job, to have bad takes, Debbie. That's not your job. Stay in your lane, Debbie.
Yeah, I can't believe you turned on Debbie in such a way.
It was this, and it was her rather prudish attitude, her old-fashioned attitude about Daniele hanging out with her ex, that I was a little bit like, okay, Debbie, we know what era you're from. It's a little different.
Also, the referring to herself in third person all the time does weigh. Yeah. Just once would be fine, but just constantly was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot. Well, we're going to open this recap with where they opened, which was with Kris and Jeymi. So we're opening with Kris saying, yeah, I had that ex-boyfriend for 5 years, and I found out about those pictures, so I went to his house, I kicked the door into his bedroom, and I crushed his phone, and then I ran like hell. What? Like, that was an extreme reaction.
No idea.
So
also, maybe after you pushed Jeymi last week, don't tell another story in which you are violent.
Right. And
which I am 0% on Kris's side for. I feel like I have to say once again, that push was unacceptable.
It was a leaping push. She
Yeah.
leapt from one seat to the other like a little jaguar. It's like,
However,
"Rawr."
you could see it happening. Like, I am in no way making excuses for violence. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. But she said, I was just snapping and I wanted to get away from her and she wouldn't stop. And that is what it was happening. She went to the van to hide.
Hmm.
And Jeymi came into the van and then wouldn't stop, was on the seat right next to her, just making snide comments and snide comments, snide comments. It's not her fault she was pushed. No, I'm not victim shaming. But like, if you see the red light going on in the crazy person that is going to snap at you,
Yeah. Yeah.
stop pushing. Stop poking the bear with the wrong trigger temper. Does that make
Mm.
sense? I'm not victim shaming.
It makes sense. I don't think it was the most eloquent sentence you've ever said,
Yeah,
but
I know.
it makes perfect sense. Yeah, you're saying like she's pushing, knowing Kris is getting madder and madder and madder. But I think Jeymi's got a little hot Latin temper on her as well. So she's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not going to back
Hmm.
down either.
Yeah.
This is sometimes when on the show when we see two people that have hair trigger tempers like Carlos and Valentine on
Yeah.
90 Day Love in Paradise. It's just it can't work.
And
Somebody
usually
has to be
one of
calm.
absolutely, and usually one of them goes too far and says something they're going to regret.
Right.
And it's this resorted to physical violence, never okay. Let's stick to saying something horrible that you're never going to forgive. Let's just keep it where you're just yelling your mama's a WH word and then that's good. Let's just leave it at that.
I was like, WH. Oh, your mom's a whore. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Let's go with Nicole where she's like BASAWH. Remember Nicole called uh
BASAWH.
not Nicole, Chantel. Chantel.
Oh, slut ass bitch ass whore.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I am here to say the bad words because Kimberly won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love
Yeah.
to, but I don't on my podcast. It's really hard to get it out of to turn it on and off.
I think
So
that's great, though. I think that you probably live a more relaxed lifestyle without those words in your mind.
no, I want to say them. So to put a filter on yourself is very difficult.
Yeah, it would be hard for me too. I love lots of people when they go on podcasts or XM, they'll be like, I mean, fuck that guy. Am I right? Oops, can I curse?
Yeah, you just did.
Well, you just did.
Some word
Ah,
some things need to be punctuated with a good word, an F
mhm.
word or a B word, and to not be able to say it, it's really just cutting me off, and it's just really it's hard to talk about people on Dateline without using bad words.
Well, I don't think that you're watching Vanderpump Rules and the Scandival. I don't think you're into
I
that.
am. I started.
You are. Okay.
I'm one of those people who jumped on just at the very last minute to see what everyone was talking about.
My daughter has been watching Vanderpump Rules from season one, episode one. I think she's like on season 4 now. She's just been binging it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm so jealous that you're getting to binge that for the first time. But if you watch on Peacock, the Pumped Up reunion is what they called it.
Yes, I heard about this. I didn't watch though.
It's glorious, and I would like to never watch any Bravo ever again until it's a pumped up version because it's just no bleeps, and it's Andy Cohen being like, "Did you just call me fucking ugly? Sit in your fucking seat."
Wow.
Like he's like up in James
Yes.
Kennedy's face, like, "Stay in your fucking seat." And James Kennedy's like, he's a fucking pussy. He's a fucking pussy. It's like really bad words, and then you never hear any of that on Bravo. It's always bleeped, and I was
Yeah.
like, yes,
I
let
love
it
it.
out. Let it out.
I
So
see. I
great.
only watch Below Deck, and Andy barely watches that show and doesn't
Right.
even know who anyone is. So just watching, I was listening to someone. I think I was listening to Watch What Crappens, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, Andy actually pays attention to who these people are. He knows what's happening. That's strange. I didn't know that happened because Bravo. Below Deck is like the stepchild, the redheaded
Oh,
stepchild of
for
the
sure.
Bravo world. So
But I mean, there's 12 iterations of it, so they're doing something right,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very popular. It's just he doesn't watch it, and you could
It's
tell.
my dad's favorite show on Bravo.
Well,
Yeah.
let hook me up with your dad as a friend. I meant so that
Yeah,
we could
sure.
chat.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I got him for Christmas. I got him a picture of me standing next to a cutout of Captain Lee at BravoCon.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
adorable.
And I got it and some Captain Lee coasters for his
You should
man
get him a
cave. Yeah.
cameo from Captain Lee. He does
You're
really good cameos.
I wonder how much they cost, like 50, 60 bucks, 80, I wonder.
He might be like 150.
It would be worth it
Yeah.
that would make my
I
dad so
know Captain
happy.
Sandy was doing like 400, which is so
Oh,
Captain
okay. Well,
Sandy
no.
of her.
Mhm.
She's the worst.
I have to tell you that when our friend Amy Phillips did her Cabaret Amy, one of her first songs that she did was about her. I got my white pants on, and it was a homage to Captain Sandy.
That's hilarious.
God, it's funny. I'll see if she has
That's
like a clip
so
of it. I'll send
funny.
it to you.
I
And she
love it.
just like she pranced all around the
Yeah.
whole venue in her
Yeah.
tight white pants. Like I got my tight white pants on, and she's singing it as Captain Sandy. God, it's
I
funny.
love it. Ooh,
It's so funny.
Captain Lee is pricey.
What
It's
is it?
250, but he does do really good like really good ones. Like 5 minutes. I've
Yeah,
seen them on Reddit.
yeah, that's a no for me, dog. If he runs a special, like all the time, Tom Brooks of Darcy and Tom, he
Yeah,
runs specials all the time. It'll be like
of
I've
course
dropped the
he
price
does.
for $1, and the funniest thing is
To
whenever he does that,
a dollar?
yeah, I'll get emails that alert me to this, and I then will alert all the bunkies who then will all and get these. One person had him do a happy birthday to Violet, my dog,
That's
but didn't
hysterical.
say it was a dog, and and he was like, "Oh God, I wish I had it still." But it was, if somebody has it and they post it on our Facebook group, tag Date with Dateline so Kimberly will see it. But it was him saying, "Happy birthday, Violet. This is from your friend, whoever sent it. Looks like today you're gonna get to go on a walk, which is your favorite thing to do. Looks like you're gonna have a nap, and looks like also you're gonna have a fabulous lunch." With your mother, Mary. That's fantastic, Violet. I hope all your dreams come true. I mean, it's like the person wrote it as if Violet was a person,
Yeah,
like going
yeah,
to
yeah,
take a
yeah.
walk, going to take a nap. Yeah, it was so funny. I was like, that was worth your $1.
So, oh my
Yes.
God. So, my friend Melissa, who hosts Moms and Mystery and Criminality,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
she in Criminality they talk about reality show crimes, and
yeah.
she got a cameo from Paul of Paul and Karini for
Mm-mm.
Rebecca, and did
Mm-mm.
it like on The Office when they're all telling fake movie plots to Michael Scott as if that was their trauma. Like somebody tells the story of the movie where Hilary Swank is the boxer and
Right.
she like has to be put into a coma or something, and
Yes.
she sent Paul that story. Like my friend Rebecca, her aunt is a boxer, and and she's dying and all this.
Oh my
Paul,
God.
they doesn't know it's a joke. He's going, it's so uncomfortable. He's taking it so seriously. At one point, I think he starts crying. He brings
Stop it.
over Karini and all of her
Mm-mm.
family who don't really speak English, and they're all like, "Oh, we're
Mm-mm.
so sorry for your loss," and it's so sweet, but also so uncomfortable. And Rebecca had never watched 90 Days, so didn't really know who Paul was.
That's horrible.
It is the whole thing is horrible. The whole
That's
thing is
terrible.
horrible. I agree. But it was
Oh my
so
God.
funny. But
I
in the
know
most uncomfortable, horrible way. It was a black comedy. It was an episode of The Office. Yeah.
that's disturbing. Now,
I
how, how did we get on this? We got it from Kris and Jeymi, and we got
Vanderpump.
started, and then we went to Vanderpump about the pumped up with the cursing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, because you said they
I
should
said
stick with your
stick
mama's
with
a whore. Yeah, okay.
bitch ass slut ass whore. Is that what she said?
Oh, she said bad words, you guys. We're not even gonna bleep it. Yes, yes, yes. So then we flash over to Tim and Veronica, and Tim's like, one of them is lying,
See, I'm
and
Team Tim. I'm so glad someone agrees with me and isn't
yeah,
just like we hate Kris. They're both really acting shady.
yeah. I'm sorry to tell you, I am 100% Team Jeymi, and
I
I think
know.
this is full of shit all the way around.
I know I'm in the wrong here. I know it. I'm going to have to eat my words at some point.
Yeah, and Veronica's like, no, I'm Team Jeymi. So Kris is
But
sticking with
Tim
this
points out you're not getting a woman like that for like how much a year on
$1,700.
$1,700.
Yeah, Tim has his own trauma that he's placing onto this situation.
Jennifer kept asking him
With
for money over and over and over.
And now she's stuck with Jesse. So you make your bed, you lie in it.
You
Jennifer
do.
with 2 Fs. Yeah.
Karma.
So Kris is sticking with this whole I was gone for 5 days and she found herself another woman. And then she was like, it was a month. It was a month. It was a month. She's like, it's 5 days. And Jeymi goes, you know what? I wish I would have stayed with that other lady. So Kris's mom, Mona, arrives on set, and Mona tells us she always thought Jeymi was using Kris for money. And, they explained that Mona was using her PayPal account to pay Jeymi. So all that money that was going to Jeymi was coming from Mona because for some reason Kris could not get a PayPal account, even though she's like the wealthiest person in Haleyville, Alabama. And and she says it was thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands. This is what Mona says. So Kris looks real sad, looks like she's might want to cry. And Mona says, it's really sad to me because I think Kris really loved the idea of Jeymi and I wanted it to work out. And Jamie's like, excuse me. She pulls up her PayPal and shows where Mona sent her $190 and then later $200 and then $550 for rent when Kris was living there in Columbia. So that's $1,740 total. And Kris is like, I don't know what she's talking about. I paid over $7,000 in clothes and things when I was there in Columbia. And Gabe's like, what? Over $7,000? How come there's no records of that? And she goes, well, it's this bank account that I no longer have because I thought somebody stole my identity. Well, you would still be able to get the records of that. You would still have a printout.
But those
to
wouldn't
send it
be
to
as
you.
money transfers. Those would be like credit card charges to stores.
Right. But she could show that it was in Columbia. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she didn't come with the receipts like Jeymi came with the receipts. To me, it seems super shady to have all these receipts, but it also seems super shady to have no receipts. So
I think I could pull up my PayPal right now and show how much my family spends on Uber Eats in a week. I mean, you know what I mean? You could pull it up easy. I think you could pull it up pretty easy.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking around for a hair clip because I got a hot flash. So, okay.
I sit on an ice pack when we record sometimes.
I know you do, and you have the chili sleep. And I told you need to bring it to your living area. And
mine has leaked all over the floor, and I don't know how to fix it. So I can't put water in it now.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll send you screenshots of my direction booklet that addresses that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, that was Chili Sleep Corner. So, Jeymi
need
says,
to talk eyebrows and eyelashes because you have to tell me about how I can fix this area.
Okay, all right. But do you think? I mean,
you
clearly,
said you'd get yours dyed.
I do.
Yeah, you need
both
to
of
tell
them.
me all about that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, guys. Sorry. Back to the program. So Jeymi says, because somebody stole our identity, whatever. And Jeymi goes, this is not possible. I paid for everything for myself. I paid for everything. When you were in Columbia, I paid for everything. When we had to go buy your pain medication, I paid for it. And Sean Robinson chimes in with, finances have always been an issue for these two. Let's take a look at one of those heated exchanges. So then we see when Kris was on the computer talking to Jeymi in Columbia, and they both got all mad. And that's when Kris was doing that real slow talking where she's like, everything I do is done. Yeah. She's just, allegedly maybe onto medication that makes her slow down.
Yeah.
Or ramp up when she has to stay up all night and go break somebody's phone and flip her a car. I don't know. So they both are crying when they're watching this. And Kris said, I just wanted Jeymi to acknowledge I was doing everything for her. And Debbie goes, oh, Kris, you were just working so hard and we never saw Jeymi working. And Jeymi chimes in and is like, I've worked really hard my whole life. I've always worked. And the only thing I ever asked for help for, the only thing was the apartment. And Sean says, so whose side are you on, Tim? And Tim goes, neither side. They just need to break up and get away from each other.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true.
Yeah.
But Jeymi says, I didn't ask her to buy me clothes and my hair and makeup and shoes and stuff. But is she acknowledging that she did buy you all that stuff? Or is she saying, I never asked her to do that?
No, I think she says she didn't. No. I mean, I do think we saw that Jeymi brought her a wedding dress from the United States, and that was seen and talked about.
How
that she
much
found
did
one
that
online.
cost? Was that
It's
for
just
I
it was a
I
white dress. It wasn't like a wedding dress. I mean, come on, come on.
I just hate this, honestly. I just hate going back and forth about the money. It's just so dumb to me. Like,
Yeah,
you both are so annoying. Stop. I hate it.
yeah, yeah. Don't worry, their segment's almost over. So, so Debbie says, so then Veronica says she's Team Jeymi still, and Debbie goes, um, and Debbie says,
I don't
Kris,
like the teams. I think that's what it is.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
And so
think
they
they're
asked,
team terrible.
Debbie says she's Team Kris, and she goes, I think Jamie's lying. Miss Debbie thinks Jamie's lying. And and Sean says, Oussama, what do you think? She's just trying to bring him in because he's sitting there like adult, you know?
Yeah.
And he says, I try to understand things, but I understand nothing. And so they all laugh.
It was almost a haiku.
Almost.
He
Sean, is,
he is a poet.
Sean says, well, do you have anything else to say to each other? Any last words? And Kris goes, no, I don't have any last words. She's just going to turn around whatever I say. And Jeymi says, yes, I am very worried about your mental health. And Kris goes, pfft. And Jeymi goes, pfft. And Kris
See, that I
goes,
didn't like.
yeah. Just,
I don't
yeah.
like accusing someone of having mental health issues on TV. That's my
Yeah.
job to do it on a
Yeah.
podcast.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I do think Kris was sort of taking the high road, and then Jeymi was being not nice there. That I didn't like. But
Well,
that
Kris
could be
says,
just me. I know I'm the only one. I stand alone.
you do. Kris says, well, this is the shit I'm talking about. I could have thrown you under the bus, but I didn't. Well, I think you did. And Jeymi's like, toxic. Now, backstage, Veronica says, Kris just has a lot of excuses about everything. She always has an excuse. And Tim goes, yeah, I got strong Jennifer vibes from Jeymi. I guarantee you there was more than those 2 PayPal exchanges. You don't keep a girl like that for $1,700. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Is that your Tim impression?
Mm-hmm. It's Sling Blade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sling Blade.
French fried taters. Yeah. Sling Blade. You got to admit that he talks a lot like Sling Blade.
I never noticed before, but I totally see it now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time he ever came on our screen, when we first met him, when he was going to meet Jennifer, I was like, what's happening with this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I'm Tim. Mm-hmm. I like to shoot guns. Sure do. All right. Let's go to Nicole and Mahmoud. So we're circling back to these two, and we welcome Ahmed. So Sean says, now, why do you think that Nicole and Mahmoud argue? And Ahmed says, oh, she has to learn about Egypt. He has to learn about America. These things take time. So Sean says, do you think Mahmoud is hard on Nicole? And Ahmed says, no, no, no. And she knows if she has any problem, I am her brother first. If he makes a mistake, I can talk to him and I can change it and fix it. And everybody's like, oh, that's really nice. And she smiles.
I don't buy that anymore. I think he's really nice to say that, but I don't think that's actually true. I think
I agree.
He just said you don't think he's too hard on her, and he is very hard on her. So the fact that you think he's not that hard on her tells me you're not really on her side.
He basically has called his brother the village idiot and said he doesn't have a lot of sense and he's here to guide him. They're like, please, Nicole, take him off our hands so we don't have to deal with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sean Robinson says, one of Nicole and Mahmoud's fight was so intense it spilled into the busy streets of Cairo. So we see a clip of that. And Ahmed says, basically, I can fix these things. What they have to do with each other is take a break from talking and calm down. Because we see Mahmoud in her face going, you want divorce? If you don't come in to see me in 5 minutes, we get divorced. Do you want that? And she goes, get the fuck away from me. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we see the clip of him gaslighting her in the truest sense of the word, saying, why you go through my phone? You think that's okay that you go through my phone? And she goes, well, since you brought it up in that way, let's talk about the chat with the girl from China. And when he's talking to her, he cannot keep a straight face because he's so busted.
Yeah.
And then Ahmed laughs a little bit and everybody's kind of like, yikes, when they're seeing this exchange about the girl from China.
Also, once again, okay, it's totally not okay what he did, because he would never allow her to talk to a man. but
Right.
the talk was so PG. It's like thing you would ask somebody if they were a guest on your podcast. Like, what genre of TV shows do you watch? But the way she's doing it in that sexy, breathy voice, like, what TV shows do you watch? Trying to make it sound like it was full on porn or sex chatting or whatever. But it obviously it wasn't
Mm.
okay. He's super shady for doing it. But I love that she's being like, what kind of car do you like? What's your do you like nachos? What like it's the most benign conversation ever. He still shouldn't have been doing it, but I love her interpretation. She's doing like a dramatic reenactment of their conversation and it's very porny.
But I think that for Mahmoud, that was porny because
Yeah,
that he's very
totally.
inexperienced in
I
life. So
know.
for him to say, "How old are you and what kind of TV do
That's
you like?" That would,
K
yeah,
scandalique. Yeah, for sure.
yes,
He knows he was crossing major boundaries by that because he
yeah,
would never go up to a woman on the street and be like, "How old are
no,
you? What hotel are you staying at?"
right,
Yeah, and
right.
he would never.
So Ahmed and Mahmoud are both kind of giggling, and Danielle goes, "I don't get this. Like, why do you guys think it's funny?" And Mahmoud says, "I was just chatting with this girl who was selling something, and I asked how old are you, and I shouldn't have asked that." And Nicole goes, "No, you ask questions like, what kind of TV do you like? How old are you? What are you doing right now?" And Danielle goes, "Wait, he was having like a professional conversation and it moved on to this?" I mean, professional is not the right word. It sounds like she was trying to scam him out of buying a
I
TV or
still don't
something.
understand how he's get transporting these TVs from China to
Mm-mm,
Egypt. What's happening?
mm-mm, mm-mm. It's yeah, that part should have been explained. And Mahmoud says, I just asked some questions. I shouldn't have asked these questions. Like two of those questions I shouldn't have asked. And then he and Ahmed are literally like elbowing each other in the side, like,
Yeah, it's
like dying
bizarre.
laughing. It's
Yeah.
very weird. They're both laughing. And Nicole continues to talk about the stuff that he was talking to the other girl about. And Isabel says, excuse me, their attitude and their laughing is very disrespectful. And
Like,
Nicole
how
goes,
are you as the brother gonna say she's my sister now before he's my brother? Like, I'm on her side
yeah,
now. But then 2 seconds later be laughing that your brother
right.
was talking to this other woman.
And he seems like they're laughing at Nicole saying, oh, he asked this and he asked this. And they're like, my guy, you got busted. Like, it's
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Boys will be boys. That
Yeah. Oh,
bullshit that I
man.
hate.
Yeah, you got busted, brother. Ah, ha, ha. And Nicole says, I think he's just embarrassed. And Mahmoud says, sometimes when we are sad or we fight, we laugh. And Ahmed says, no, we don't cry. We laugh. We die and then we laugh. This is in Egyptians. If we have a hard time, we laugh.
Do you have any
Eh,
Egyptian bunkies that can reach out and say if is that a normal response in
I'd
Egypt?
like Egyptian bunkies to reach out. And I also try to Google it. Do Egyptians laugh in bad
Uncomfortably. Yeah,
situations? Do Egyptians laugh in awkward situations?
right.
I
Maybe
found
because maybe it is.
I, maybe it's a defense mechanism, but I don't know if we can classify the whole country as being awkward laughers. I just
Right.
don't know.
I don't know. That's what they made it sound like, though.
Like
We
everyone in
are
our
taught
country
that from
knows.
birth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very strange. So everybody shakes their head like this is total bullshit. And Nicole rolls her eyes so far back in her head, I was concerned. And Debbie goes, I think it's nerves. I don't think it's malicious laughter because I am here to have the opposite opinion of every single person on this stage.
Again, Debbie, that's my job. Uh,
Good God.
also, like Danielle keeps injecting herself into this and being like, in
Mm-hmm.
my experience, in my relationships, you're like, Danielle, it's not about you.
Danielle, you're coming at the end. It's not your turn.
Yeah.
So Sean says, Mahmoud, how would you feel if Nicole was talking to some guy online and all of a sudden Ahmed and Mahmoud are no longer laughing? They get
Yep.
stone faced serious about that shit.
Uh huh.
And he says, I would not be happy with that. And Ahmed like crosses his arms and Gay goes, okay, I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you something. I think you're really scummy. And here are words directly from my wife. He has all the qualities as a man you would not want. And I don't think you're ever going to change. And then Ahmed is like, let me ask you this. Like, do you know him? Like, I'm trying to be here and be friendly and polite, and you don't even know him. And Sean says, so Gabe, okay, Gabe, back to you. What's your advice to Nicole? And he goes, get a divorce so she can find somebody with the same beliefs. And Ahmed laughs and says, you don't know him. You don't know him, what his beliefs are at all. And then Gabe goes, how many times did he get in her face and ask for a divorce? And then Ahmed just kind
To
of
be
crosses his
fair,
arms. Yeah.
she asked for a divorce about 5 times as many times as he did.
That's both of them are immature and they're using that word as a weapon at all
Yeah.
times.
She's
Yeah.
constantly like, I'm going to go to the airport right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I got my bags packed, I'm going to the airport. So Sean says, so do the two of you, Nicole and Mahmoud, have the same beliefs on how a Muslim woman should act? And she says, no, he's extremely Orthodox and I'm not. And Mahmoud says, time changes everything sometimes. He's still trying, he thinks he can change her.
Yeah.
And Sean says, so when you come to the US, will you still tell her what to wear? And he says, yes, I will keep asking for this. I don't like people to see my wife's body. Now, Ahmed and Mahmoud before were just really laughing it up. And now when it's turned, they are not laughing at all.
Yeah.
So Sean says, Oussama, do you think that they can have a good relationship? And he says, yes, I think she could just study Islam a little bit to understand the religion and understand his actions, which is, I hate to say it, he could be right in this
He's right.
case.
The it's so tricky because it's his religion. It's something he's grown up in his entire life. It's all he knows.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's right. Everyone
Right.
that's American on the stage thinks that they're right and his views are horrible. But
Mm-hmm.
that's his religion, and you're not going to change his mind by yelling at him about his religion like Gabe is doing.
Mm-mm.
That has
Right.
never changed anyone's mind.
Mm-mm. I mean, so Jeymi asked Nicole, I have a question. If you consider yourself to be Muslim, why do you dress like that? You look beautiful, but I want to understand, why would you dress inappropriately for your culture? And Nicole says, well, I'm not Orthodox, and I don't believe my clothing choices have anything to do with religion or spirituality. And I will continue to do what I want and say what I want and wear what I want. And I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say about it. There's more than one way to be religious, and I don't care what anyone says about the way I dress. We were like, whoa, Nicole. All right, girl.
And
Yeah.
I have to admit that I was ignorant about that. I didn't know that there were, mostly when I see Muslim women, they are covered. So
Right.
I didn't know you could interpret the rules like that, like you can in Judaism, and sort of
Yeah.
follow the ones you want to.
Yes,
But that's
totally.
not going to work in this marriage.
No, it's not going to work in this marriage because her husband is extremely strict and orthodox, and then she's just very loosey goosey. So if they were both sort of in the middle, it's sort of like what was that asshole guy that married that woman from
High pitched voice.
Tobago?
Oh,
Shoot,
Bilal and Shida.
Bilal and Shida, like they agree. They agree. And so they agree on
The
how religious they
burkini,
are.
they agree on the
Everything.
they're on Pillow Talk too, and she totally agrees that you should be covered.
That's her beliefs, but I can imagine, I don't see her saying like Nicole should do what her man says, because she doesn't seem to be like that. She doesn't seem to be like, the man rules the house and I do what he says kind of a
No,
thing.
but she's more like, this is our rules of our religion, so you do it.
So you do it. Okay.
Yeah. So she was like encouraging of the burkini and encouraging of covering.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, Mahmoud does say, religion is between, you and God, and that's it. And Kris goes, well, 1 minute he's fine with it, and the next minute he's not. And Ahmed says he just wants to push his wife to do good. And Kris says, well, he acts different when you're not around, and you won't be around when he's in America. And Mahmoud goes, like imitates her with her hand. So much imitating of each other on this show. This is the third time it's happened.
How immature are these people? I haven't done that since elementary school, where you mock how someone is talking.
Gabe did it to Ahmed. Ahmed did it to Kris. And
Debbie
somebody
did
else
it.
did.
Debbie did it. and it
Who'd she
might
do
have
it
been
to?
uh to Rishi. Was it to Rishi? No.
Yeah, I think it was Rishi. I think it
Just like
was.
anytime you're imitating someone like that who has an accent that is not
Mhm.
your American accent, then it's
Yeah,
gonna sound offensive, and you should
it
just not
is.
do it.
Yeah, sort of like me on this show.
Well, I do
So
it too. You can't
I do it
sometimes you
too.
can't help it, but you're not doing it in a mocking way.
No, I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
So, so she goes, "Oh my God, he's so childish." And then Mahmoud goes into a whole thing. He's like, "I'm just trying to be nice to everyone who's here because my wife was crying and she was sad. So now I'm here and I'm trying to be nice to everyone." And Kris goes, "Well, that's being fake." And he says, "No, it's not fake." And Danielle says, "How about this? Why don't you just not be an asshole to just not be an asshole and don't do it for somebody else?" And Debbie goes, "Well, that's judgmental." And
Was she saying Danielle was being judgmental?
yeah, yes, because Danielle was saying, "Why don't you just not be an asshole to not be an asshole?" And
Which
Debbie goes, "Well,
is
that's
good life
judgmental."
advice.
Yeah, like you don't what don't do it because you're out here trying to impress other people. Just don't be an asshole.
Which
Don't just do
that's
it. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. Why would
right.
Debbie call that judgmental?
She's being judgmental. So, So Sean Robinson says, "Well, on that note, Ahmed, thank you for joining us today and sharing your insight. Nicole and Mahmoud, we wish you the best." So,
I died at well on that note because that's the new well, we're obviously not going to resolve this today.
mhm. On that note,
Well,
we're
on that
finished.
note.
So Veronica says, "I think he only behaves when he's with his brother." And Tim goes, "I feel bad for Nicole." Okay.
Let's
On
not
to,
feel too bad. I mean, I we should feel bad for Nicole, but like she has been in this relationship for a long time now and
mhm.
went back willingly when she was
Yeah,
already had filed for divorce.
she's tried to live there 3 times. Excuse my
Yeah.
yawning. She's tried to live there 3 times.
He's made
And
it totally clear what his expectations are and
yeah,
she
and
is
we've
not
seen
willing to
them.
do them. It's, it's time to walk away. It was time to walk away before this season when the
Well,
producers called you and you were already getting a divorce and you said, "Okay, I'll try one more time."
except for they're gonna try one more time because we've already seen pictures of them hugging in the
I
airport in
sent you
LA.
that
Yeah,
video. That's like a
yeah,
long video. It was interesting though to watch the filming process. Like,
because they made them do it over and over. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We've seen that before, so I guess maybe they get to have one genuine reaction, and then they have to be like,
Mhm.
"You didn't seem like you liked him enough in that one."
Right.
Mahmoud, you need to push her away and say, "What the hell are you wearing?" Um, So, moving on to Gabe and Isabel, Sister Monica is here to talk about the impact of her not attending the wedding and what this impact has had on their relationship. Welcome, Monica. So, Monica says their relationship has been estranged since she didn't attend the wedding, but he told her the night before the wedding that she, Monica, was the reason all of his past relationships have failed, and she was very offended by that. Get over it. Who cares? Like,
Absolutely.
he's getting married now.
But also Gabe with the I don't know why she's pissed. I don't know why she's not coming. You don't remember that fight that you had and what you said? Okay.
He's got real issues with
You know,
bottling things up and just
yes.
communication and
I
not
wonder if it's like
saying, yeah,
trauma like with Monica, or is it like with his family because he shuts down emotionally. Like
yeah,
he's so scared to piss off Isabel and to piss off Monica. It's
yeah,
like almost like he's been like verbally abused or something, you know? He goes into
yeah,
this shell where he's like, I don't want to cause problems.
yeah, you're right. You're right. So Monica arrives on the set and she tells Gabe that she misses him. And he says, "Me too." And Sean said, "Are you in communication at all?" And he says, "Yeah, we talk every day." And she goes, "No, we don't talk every day. We send memes to each other." And he's like, "That's how I show love." So Sean asked Gabe,
I
why
mean,
didn't
that is
Monica,
valid. Yeah,
I mean, I like to send memes too.
I do too.
Why didn't Monica attend the wedding? And he says, "I don't know. I don't have any idea, but I'm not dwelling on it. I'm a meme sender." And Sean goes, "Okay." And he goes, "Look, here's the truth. I'm non-confrontational to a fault. And I don't like to talk about things." So then we get this clip package of Gabe and Monica. And then Monica says, the reason I didn't show up to your wedding is that you told me the night before the wedding that I am the common denominator in all your failed relationships. And I just couldn't get over it. And he says, you could have done anything. What did he say? He said, you could have shot off my leg and I would have come to your wedding. And Sean says, yeah, why couldn't you just pull it together for one day for the once in a lifetime wedding? She goes, I got up in the morning, I was getting my hair done for 2 hours and I was crying so much. And then I got in the shower and I tried to do it and pull it together, but I just couldn't show up to the wedding like that, like crying. So he crosses the room and goes and sits by her. And he says, I'm sorry. And she says, I just don't want you to think that of me, that I'm the reason that all your past relationships has failed. And he's like, Monica, you always throw shade on my relationships. And you said something nasty
adjust your
about
behavior.
Isabel. Yeah. And you said something nasty about Isabel and I got upset. So then you said, pan over to Isabel's like, Monica explains that it was 2:30 in the morning and the bar was closing down. And she had a hair appointment at 8 and the wedding was the next day. And she was like, and we're at a bar and I didn't mean to shut the party down. I was just like, can somebody take me home? And Gabe says, but that was right when Isabel got there and you wanted to leave. I was like, what was Isabel doing until 2:30 in the morning? That's when she arrived at the bar.
Is
Like,
that like
what?
Colombian culture? I know they party a lot, but is that like
I don't know, but it's like, what time was the wedding was at night?
I know.
But she had a hair appointment at 8
yeah,
a.m.
the wedding was at night. Yeah.
8 a.m. She had a hair appointment. Dang. So
I would be like, I need to go to sleep.
that would have been me at 10:30. I would have been like,
Yeah.
what? Got to be up at 8? I got to go. So Isabel says, Monica's absence that day hurt me a lot, and I thought she should have put their differences aside, and everybody kind of agrees. And Gabe says, yeah, because my mom and Monica were supposed to walk me down the aisle. So Sean's like, Monica, did you know your role in the wedding? And Monica goes, no, I had not been told my role in the wedding at all. Gabe is really secretive. I didn't know the wedding colors or anything. I wouldn't have worn this green dress. And they're all like, that's the dress you're going to wear to the wedding? And she's like, yes. Which, by the way, she looks great in it.
Yeah, and she didn't get to wear it on TV before, so she's going to wear it on TV now. Fine. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Isabel says, well, Monica was supposed to be one of the bridesmaids, and my mom had handmade all the dresses for everyone. And Monica was like, Gabe didn't tell me any of this. I would have loved that. I would have loved to have worn a dress that your mom made. And Sean's
Wait,
like, wait, no,
I'm sorry. There's no dress fitting or anything. I cannot fit into a homemade dress that your mom wore. My body is tricky. There's going to be a fitting.
Yeah, I don't quite get this either.
Monica does have one of those bodies where she probably could just like jump into a dress and it'll look great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. She's off the rack size 4.
Yeah.
So Sean goes, so wait a minute. So day of the wedding, you didn't know what your role was in the wedding? And she goes, right. I'm trying to tell you, Gabe does not communicate. And Isabel's like, yeah, my mom designed the dresses and I wanted you to wear one. And she's like, oh my God. And Gabe says, well, maybe that was a lack of communication between me and Isabel on that.
Yeah.
And Monica cries and was like, I feel so bad about this. I wish I would have known this about this dress. And Jen goes, you guys should do the whole thing again. You should do the whole thing again, and then you get to wear the dress. And Gabe goes, well, we're working on, like a visitor visa, it seems like, for Isabel. So Isabel can come visit, and we can do another wedding. And Monica goes, I'll be so happy, to wear the dress. Monica and Gabe hug. And Gabe and Isabel, we wish you the best. Yeah, that's it.
We're obviously going to resolve this today, and we just did.
Because you guys have no problems. And even Gabe and Monica are still talking. So everything's fine.
This is like one of the only times the tell-all has actually fixed something. Because it's Gabe and Isabel, perfect couple. Thank you.
Came in as not broken.
Yeah.
So now we go to Rishi and Jen. And Jen says she's feeling irritated and upset about Rishi's mom, about what she kept saying about her age. And so we see the clips of, you're smart and everything. You got the one thing that's bad is the age. I could have done 6 months to a year, but you're too old. And everything was perfect except the age. And we would have accepted this except for this one major flaw, your age. So you see a clip of this and she's like, oh my God. So she calls Rishi and was like, your mom could just fuck right off. And if she ever says that again about my age, we will never speak again. Never. You could convey that to her. I was like, oh my God. And
again,
was like,
this
Yeah,
is this
wow.
woman's culture, and she's older and set in her ways. You're
Yeah,
probably not going to change her mind about this. That doesn't make it okay to age shame someone. So I get why
right.
Jen has every right to be upset, but like everyone yelling at this older Indian lady is not going to fix the issue. Yell at
Uh-uh.
society, the society that made her this way.
And Rishi says, she's not aware of what she's saying because she's a proper housewife. And Jen goes, And he goes, and she just doesn't know how to talk to people. And her intention is not to hurt you. But on behalf of her, I'm feeling very sorry. Now, is he trying to say she's a proper housewife and doesn't know how to talk to people? Is she not let out of the home ever? Doesn't know how to talk to strangers? What
I
are you
don't know.
saying?
I thought he meant like she's old fashioned. She's, she does things by society's. I don't know what he meant by that actually.
She's a proper housewife and doesn't know how to talk to people. Well, what?
Is she?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she's not.
does.
She's still allowed. Is she not allowed to have conversations?
Is she
That's.
just living under a rock?
I
That don't
don't
make any
know. That was.
sense.
I did not even catch that. That was
Yeah.
strange.
And he says, I'm feeling sorry on behalf of her. And Jen says, listen, I don't know if this will ever be a viable relationship because that is your mother. And he says, no, I will always be on your side. And I'll talk to my mother about it. I'll talk to her about it. And I'm very sorry. And I'm on my knees saying sorry. And you're my other half. I'll do anything for you. So she cries and it's like, I need time. I need time to think about this. We'll just talk later. And he says, okay. So she tells the producer, this whole thing with his family makes me second guess the relationship. I was like, really? 4 years later, you think? You think?
You are 12th guessing the relationship. You should
I
be at
mean,
least. You should be
good God.
guessing, not
Yeah.
365 this questioning this relationship
And
every
it's
day.
it comes back to the family every time.
Yeah.
So,
Who is not going to change?
not going to change. And so there are a bunch of cast members are in the green room, and Debbie says, well, if Rishi was here, we would make him man up. And Danielle says, yeah, he has to be willing to go against his parents, and that's hard. And Debbie says, well, he's just two-faced and not true to himself, says Debbie. So
Again, Debbie, he is the oldest child who is like financially responsible for his family. It's not quite that easy. He's
it's
in
not
a
quite as, yeah.
horrible situation.
But again, he put
But
himself in this horrible
he
situation
did.
by proposing to her
And
twice.
he shouldn't be promising things that he knows he can't deliver on, which he has been doing. He's been stringing her along for years when he knows this is his place in his family and they're not
That's
going to
right.
go for this.
That's right.
So he is kind of two-faced. Debbie, I'll give you that.
Yeah. So back on the set, Jen doesn't come back, and Sean's like, okay, excuse me, producer, where is Jen? And they said, oh, she was on the phone and she was very emotional. And then she says, Rishi, you want to tell me what's going on? So he
By
starts
the
to
way, I
explain
loved
it.
all the cast members eavesdropping on her phone call
Oh,
with Rishi because
yeah,
that would be me
yeah.
1000%.
Well,
Shut up, Gabe.
they're separated by, yeah,
Gabe, lower your voice. I'm trying to hear. Come over here. We'd be like huddled
yeah,
together with a
yeah.
glass to the wall. Like, what is she
There's no
saying?
walls. It's all separated by
It's
like curtains. And so
curtains.
she's like, listen, shh, quit talking. Quit eating your salad so loud.
Yeah.
So um, Debbie says, so Rishi starts to explain it. Jen comes back. Rishi wipes his eyes. He seems to be crying. Some people said he seems like he was poking himself in the eye to make tears appear, but I thought he looked like he was crying.
Pillow
Yeah.
talk. They love to make fun of him for fake crying. Yeah. I think he's real crying.
He had tears coming down.
Yeah.
Um,
And I judge
and,
all the time real tears or fake tears on Dateline if someone's spouse dies.
yes,
Constantly
yes.
we're is there liquid?
Right. Yeah, totally. So Danielle's, well, I appreciate how empathetic he is to the thing, to this situation. And Debbie goes, well, he can defy his mom in a tactful way, and I hope he does that. And Jen tells him, I know it's not your fault about what your mom said. I'm sorry this is making you so upset. Okay, I'm sorry. So Rishi
Defy
goes,
your
oh,
mom in a tactful way.
yeah,
Disown your family, but in a tactful way.
but do it nicely.
Yeah.
Do it nicely.
Abandon your elderly mother, but in a nice way.
And Rishi says, I feel like all the worst things are happening because of me. And Jen says, look, you're not the
Yeah.
one that said the hurtful things. But yeah, he is correct. All the worst things are happening because of him.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes. The accurate
Yeah.
statement.
And Sean says, well, this is the most emotional I've ever seen you two. So where does the relationship stand? And Jen goes, I have no idea. And Rishi says, her crying and her being upset because of my mother. And I don't know. But, I can't make any promises. Well, we know that.
Too late for that. It's too
We know.
late.
Yeah. But he's working on things and he's hoping he can make things possible. I mean, he said to his mother flat on TV, I am leaving the family and marrying her. I will marry her
Yeah.
whether I have your approval or not. And Mom's like,
After
oh,
20
okay.
minutes of bullying from the entire cast, he did admit that to his mom. Yeah.
And then Mom just goes, oh, okay, no.
Yeah, no, it's
nope.
not going to happen.
No. And he goes, okay, Mom. So Sean says, well, anyone can see how upsetting this is. And you aren't sure how you're moving forward. Okay, we need a break. Let's take a break.
We're obviously not going to resolve this today.
We're not going to resolve this. So, Rishi, you keep crying. Jen, go fix your face. So, Tim and Veronica say, Tim
She
goes,
did look great when she was yelling at him, I have to say. She has the right bone structure for yelling, and she's a pretty crier. So, you win, Jen.
Yeah, she was using the Candace Dillard from Real Housewives of Potomac cry angle. She was getting right up in there. Right up in there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Got to get into a sharp triangle. So Tim and Veronica, and Tim says, well, they need to accept this as a wrap and move on. Like, what's the happy ending here? Getting married is a fantasy. They need to not push it to a point where they hate each other. They just need to somehow be friends because they just can't get married, not at this point.
I agree with all of that, except I don't think they should be friends because there's too much backsliding.
How?
They're just going to keep hooking up every time they're friends, like they just showed at that wedding.
They live in two different countries. And so what,
But
like once a year? Yeah, but once a year she may go over there for a wedding. So, okay.
But then it rekindles this engagement that is never going to happen.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld said breaking up is like pushing over a soda machine. You have to rock it back and forth a lot before you use.
That's great. That's great. Oh, that's funny. So Gabe talks to Jen and says, I'm so sorry, y'all. Yawn. But go buy our merch. PinkShadePodcast.com. Live, laugh, yawn. Okay. It's true. There are shirts there.
Good.
So
put in a plug every
time.
Put
in a plug. Every time I yawn, just put in a plug. So Gabe talks to Jen and says, so when are you going to stop waiting? And she goes, I don't know. It's like, maybe I have somebody in the wings. Like I may or may not have given my phone number to someone who may or may not be a child of someone on this cast.
Who may or may not wear a shirt that says America World War II two-time champions. World War two-time champions.
And she says, look, he's attractive. He's my age. He has a career. He seems like a legit nice guy. He stands up to his mom, stands up for his mom, and he's someone I can have a conversation with. And there's something to be said for somebody who lives in the same country and family doesn't hate me. Am I right? Am I right?
True. Yeah, but I love Gabe was like, what do you like about Julian? Because I think he saw the America two-time World War champions, and it was like, I don't know how he feels about like me being trans. Well, I don't know how he feels about like.
I think it's interesting that when Julian came on the set, he came and stood in the middle like a John Wayne movie and was like, boy, you better be glad I'm not there. I'm going to whoop your ass. I was like, oh my God, sit down.
It's like, there's a couch for the guests. That's the couch.
Yes, you should keep walking and not stop in the middle to grandstand. All right.
But still, at least he's in Jen's country. And I guess that's good. I can't see them lasting more than one date, though, to be honest.
Oh, Jen and Julian?
Yeah, no.
No, she's way too free-spirited hippy-dippy for his Haleyville, Alabama self. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now let's pivot to Daniele and Johan. After 1 month together in the Dominican Republic, Daniele declared their relationship over due to lack of respect. Hi, Daniele. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy is the marriage? And she says, well, Sean, some days it's a 20 and some days it's a -5. And Johan says, some days an 8, other days a 0. And Daniele says, the biggest issue we have is communication, and it may manifest as money or jealousy, but it's communication. And he agrees. He says communication and trust. So Tim and Veronica, for some reason, are coming out to discuss this, and they say, "Well, these two are headstrong and trying to see who will wear the pants in the family." And then they joke about they had that same problem. Tim's like, "Obviously, I had to give in because now I'm wearing gold lame pants on TV." So no, I'm just kidding. He had on leather biker pants.
He
So
had a shiny jacket, shiny silver
very,
jacket.
yeah. He has.
Kenny
I
said
think.
he looked like a baked potato.
I think last reunion when they were the color commentators, he had on shiny gold pants
He
with knee
did.
high black boots.
I
Yeah, that's his
remember.
look. He loves a knee
He
high boot,
loves the
man.
style. Look, I found a shirt that says America 2-time World War champions. And there's also ones that say America back-to-back World War champions.
Where did you find that?
It's all over the internet. There's some on Amazon. Should I
Okay.
buy one?
No,
I
please don't.
and no one would get that I was wearing it ironically.
Nobody would get it, and people would cross the sidewalk away from you in California. Um, so,
Undefeated World War champs. People think I'm
so
making it up. He was wearing that shirt, guys.
no, I know you're not making it up. So we get a clip package of Danielle and Johan fighting and him being a complete dick about his birthday. Like, it's my birthday. It's like Stassi. It's my birthday.
It's a
So
national bank holiday.
So she cries and says, "Oh, this is the first time she saw at that birthday how cold he could be." And he humiliated her in front of in front of his whole family, who she really loves. And she feels like she can't even show her face in front of them again because she was so embarrassed.
It was hard to
And
watch. It was really hard to watch.
it's pretty awful. And then Sean says to Johan, "Why did you act that way and not even thank her for putting together this huge birthday party for you?" And he says, "You think you can come over here and act however you want with your ex when you're married to your husband?
The week
Not me
of my birthday,
on the day of my birth." And he says, "And I don't think one thing," and she says, "Okay, but I don't think one thing has to do with the other. Like you were mad about Taylen, but then you were mean to me on the birthday." So that's what she means. One thing has to do with the other. And Tim
it's
goes,
also like Monica, who was mad about this fight, but it's Gabe's freaking wedding.
"Right, you suck it up."
Yeah.
And then Tim tells us, not surprisingly, "I'd be the same. I wouldn't want that to ruin my birthday. I think
Tim,
Johan viewed it as a threat."
I am on Tim's side. Usually I agree with him. Usually I
Mhm.
agree with him 99% of the time. I could not have disagreed with him more firmly about this.
Debbie says, "To bring an ex into it, to bring a fun bunny who you used to only have fun with and to flaunt it. This was disrespectful, and your husband should be respected." And Johan claps because somebody's finally on his side. And of course, it's going to be Debbie. So Sean says, "Johan, are you jealous?" And he says, "Who wouldn't be jealous if your partner tells you I'm going to meet up with my ex? Because even if you aren't the jealous type, you would feel jealousy if you love your person." And Jen says, "Yeah,
I
I
don't
get
think
it
that's
because
true.
Jen says, "I get it because even if you shouldn't be jealous, you feel like you should be evolved and be beyond it. But like, if I can't trust them, why am I even in this relationship?"
Right.
And Veronica says, "Well, I think trust and jealousy are two different things here." So Tim says to Danielle, "Flip the script. And what if he did that and wanted to, go out with an ex or something?" And Danielle goes, "Yeah, invite her over. Invite her to my birthday party. I'd like to ask her some questions because I've not met anyone in his life, maybe just two people. It's like he dropped out of the sky and has no past.
She would
No one
want to
else
be
is."
best friends with them. On it, she would.
Yeah.
She would want to be friends with. And I'm the same way. I am not jealous. It's one of my only good qualities. That I have many personality faults. That's not one of them.
Hmm.
I
Uh,
agree with her. Like, and you know what? Katie had two of her exes as groomsmen in her wedding,
oh,
and her
wow.
husband was fine with it.
Huh.
So it can be. I'm not saying it's wrong if you're a jealous person, because some people are just more jealous. But I don't think the husband should be able to control who she talks to.
Well, I
When
agree with
she's in a
that.
country where she doesn't know anyone but the
Right.
husband, that's a dangerous precedent, because then you're not letting her talk to anybody but you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she says, no one, it's talking about how she's not jealous. She says, no one else is a threat to me because no one else is me. You know, he always knew I was this way. And he said he trusted me. But as the relationship progressed, he dug his heels in about this thing and other things. But I live in this world and I have friends and I'm going to continue to have friends. And Tim says, well, I felt like you didn't give him an option. You said either just come with me to meet my friend or I'll go alone. And he just wasn't comfortable with that. And Danielle says, well, if he's trying to decide who my friends could be, I think we're getting into a sticky situation. Like, that's a problem for me. Like, that means like you feel like your wife is your property. And Tim says, yeah, but you definitely do have to have a sense about what your husband wants because it's a partnership and you have to go both ways. And Gabe says, yeah, also, I think he told you the one thing he didn't want you to do. And Johan smirks a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
I get it too. I'm
And
starting to see both sides here.
there's a
Yeah.
cultural element too, maybe in his country, women are not friends with men or are not friends with their exes. So then you have another cultural differences situation, which is why the show is so tricky.
And Gabe
She
says,
could have communicated it better. I'm still think she should be able to see who she wants, but I think she could have communicated it better.
yeah, I think the whole thing could have been avoided. But Gabe says, look, both of you have to make sacrifices. And Isabel goes, no, no, no. It's not sacrifice. It's not sacrifice. It's respect for your partner. And Veronica agrees. I agree. I think it's a respect thing. Like, you're not respecting what he asked you to do. And Tim says, well, you have to have boundaries. And then the two of them, Tim and Veronica, discuss their relationship a little bit. And they've definitely been in situations where they've had a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, that have asked them not to be around each other so much. And they have to respect the boundaries and respect the feelings of their partner.
I
So
get that.
Taylen, yeah, I get it. So Taylen arrives. He says, hey, Johan, how's your dick hanging, man? Sorry, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. That was gross. I'm sorry I said that. That was gross. That was
Also,
gross.
why Johan is being a dick though, because he was friends with Taeyeon. Is that what's his name? That's not it.
Taylen,
Taeyeon.
Taylen.
Who's Taeyong? Isn't that somebody
Uh,
Jaehoon and Devin's his child? This is Taeyong.
Taeyong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um they bonded on the basketball court. Am I wrong? Didn't they kind of
Mhm.
become bros for a second?
But Johan's mad that he's there.
Yeah,
Johan's
Johan's
mad that
mad
he's
that
there.
they're in the
Yeah.
same room by him without him there.
Yeah. So he says hi to Johan, who doesn't reply. And they're asking Taylen, now I'm saying it, Taylen,
Sorry.
sorry. They asked Taylen his feelings about Danielle, and he goes, I just see her as a friend and like a mentor, somebody I would go to. And no, there's no romantic feelings. No. So
If
Sean says,
Danielle is your mentor, you need to reevaluate your life choices.
Sean says to Johan, so how do you feel about him being in the same city as Danielle, also in the same studio, and they're just so close they can almost touch feet? And, and
And
he
you're
says,
probably going to bang at the hotel room later,
oh my,
Johan.
not probably. And he says, I don't feel comfortable. They were a couple. They had sex. She has photos of him in the house. Dun, dun, dun. The most dramatic music played. It was like, it was crazy.
And then it turned out to be so dumb.
So stupid. So they all look at Taylen like, oh my God. And Johan goes, yeah, I'm just the idiot. And Danielle goes, oh my God. She goes, he found a picture of Taylen in her drawer with all my other pictures I've kept since first grade. And Tim goes, okay, so you made it sound like it's like hanging on the wall in your front foyer. And she was like, no, it's in a drawer with all my other pictures, just like a box of pictures or whatever. He's like, oh, okay. So Danielle says, I will 100% apologize for the hurt that I've caused him. And I want my husband to know that it doesn't matter who I ever had sex with in the past. Like, he's my husband. And I want him to just feel secure in that. And Sean says, let's see what originally caused the hostility with Johan and Taylen. Roll the tape. So we see Danielle on her boat ride with Taylen. Now, does she say here that he acts like a child? Does she say he's childish or something?
I felt like she was just saying he is very old fashioned or very controlling, or I don't remember
because
exactly the words. Wasn't as bad as what Johan heard was,
right.
wah, wah, he's a cry baby. I have to change him every night because he wears a diaper. That's how Johan interpreted what she said, which is not what she said.
Yeah, and Johan says, um, "Yeah, I just saw something I hadn't seen before because you remember they haven't seen all this footage. You know."
Hmm.
He said, I just saw something I haven't seen before. Like she was calling me a little boy, and is this how you talk about your husband with your lover to make fun of him to say he's not open minded?" And Danielle's like, "What?" She says, "I was not making fun of you." And then he says, one of his first of three threats, he says, that decision is going to cost you badly. The moment you decided to bring him into our relationship has turned our relationship into shit. I never approved wanting to meet your ex, and you're going to regret it a lot because now I don't see you as a partner that I have love for or respect for. And I have told Danielle from that moment on, our relationship will be worthless, and I've told her loud and clear.
Wow. That's
That was
wow.
two. That was
Also,
two
I
threats.
don't love the word approve.
Uh
The
huh.
feminist in me doesn't love that he has to approve something, but
Uh huh.
it could be a language barrier.
Well, how do you feel about him saying this is going to cost you badly and you're going to regret it?
Yeah, that scares me. I don't like that.
It's two threats. So Danielle says, look, I understand he's upset about it, but I can't change the past. Like, what is there is there. I can't change it. And he says, how can I make this clear? I am with Danielle until our lease is up. And when our lease is up, she goes her way and I go mine. And they show all the cast are going, yikes. And then Debbie, who just 2 seconds ago was Team Johan, was like, this can be fixed. You have to rethink it, Johan.
You have a beautiful love. Like,
What?
what?
And Danielle goes, he's just acting this way because he saw Taylen walk in the room. And Johan says, I don't have the same love for her anymore. I don't want to be with her anymore. The damage is done. She can have all the friends she wants. I don't care anymore. I swear on my mother, I don't care. And Gabe goes, he cares. He cares. And Veronica goes, yeah, you keep threatening. Like, play with fire and you'll see, or you're going to regret it and you're going to fuck around and find out. And that's messed up. And I don't like that shit at all. And he's just like, hmm. I
So I
was
put
like, yeah,
on the boat ride, and
okay.
Taylan,
Taylen,
sorry,
Taylen,
Taylen
Taylen.
is just keeps saying Danielle is the most mature woman I've ever been with. That might be different than what he's used to. She's very mature. And
Mm-hmm.
am I going to meet him? And she says, when I got off the plane here, he started acting like a different person. And then
Uh-huh.
she says, he's just not as open. That's
Mm-hmm.
literally all she says. He's not as open.
Does she then say he's a baby who needs to get a
No,
pacifier? Okay.
no, never.
Okay. Well, I like that Veronica called him out about the threats because
Hmm.
we saw him do that in the car too. Like,
Because they were
you
all
will,
ganging
but
up
you
on
will.
Danielle before,
Yeah.
but then they're
Hmm.
seeing how controlling he is, and they're kind of like, I feel weird that I was just encouraging Johan.
Yeah, because we saw in the car, like when she had first arrived in the DR, he was saying things to her like that, like, if you go against me, you're going to regret it.
Yeah,
And if you try to drive the car again and embarrass me, you're going to
yeah.
regret it. It's the
Also,
last
why
thing.
did you bring 15 suitcases and I drive a um, golf cart?
Hugo. Right. Right. Um, so Johan says, I told her at the beginning of the relationship, I don't want any exes in our lives because I have had a bad experience with an ex, but with Danielle, it went in one ear and out the other. And so if you don't want a commitment, stay single. And if you don't want to get married, and if you don't want the responsibility of a husband, don't get married.
Okay,
And
so
get,
did they discuss this? Like, I don't remember this from Love in Paradise. If they actually discussed this and he said that's like my one condition,
yeah, have super strong feelings about this in being friends with exes. If he explained it,
and
right.
she knows she has all these exes that are friends, does she think she can just change his mind, or she's still going to do what she wants, or was she not really listening, or like they just don't communicate very well?
She's just going to do what she wants. The end. So Gabe says, I just think this is a power struggle. And, he's using this instance to control the situation because she's such a boss in all other situations.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's
so
good.
I think that's right. So Sean says, Danielle, how do you feel? And she says, yeah, what Gabe is saying is valid, but let me tell you something. I'm willing to relinquish control of all things. Like I've always wanted from him, and I've always asked him to be an equal partner. I don't want to control everything, but if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. Like the rent needs to get paid. Like I'm not there right now. The rent is not getting paid because I'm not doing it. And Isabel says, okay, Johan, so you're the man of the house. And if you want respect, it's not done by imposing these kind of things. No one forced you to get married. You decided she was the woman and you chose her. Then Johan compares Danielle to a business venture and he says, when you invest in a business that doesn't want to move forward and talks bad about you, the business is talking bad about you, talks bad about you, and doesn't want to help you or do anything for you. And then you lose all willingness to do anything for that business. And so everything goes to shit.
Boy, Johan is really going through a complicated relationship with his meat shop. Maybe those
Yeah.
flies are talking bad about him and he's hearing
That's,
buzz, buzz. And he's like, my business is talking bad about me.
and they're not, and that my
I
business is
like
not
it. He
willing to
was
help,
going for
not
a
willing to help
metaphor.
me.
He was going
Yeah.
for a metaphor and it didn't really land, but he tried.
And it also could be a perfect metaphor that just did not translate well,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So, Veronica says, well, she's telling us that she does everything, like she has to pay the rent. And he goes, what she's not telling you is that she pays the rent with the money that I'm giving her. And Danielle just looks up like, what? And puts her head down in her hands. And Johan says, yeah, we split the rent half and half, just like everything. So she shouldn't run her mouth by saying, I pay for everything. No, she shouldn't run her mouth by saying, I pay for everything. I pay for everything. That's another thing. It's like she shouldn't run her mouth. The way he speaks is
It's
really.
very, I don't like it. But also, I started screaming because I have PTSD from Kris and Jeymi's segment. And I was like, no, we're going into that. We're going to have receipts. Who paid
Uh-oh.
for what? Who paid
Yeah.
for what? Are they splitting it 50%?
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I shouldn't
No.
say PTSD. I know people have real PTSD.
Well, I think that as far as the 50%, I think that we saw very clearly when they were looking at that expensive apartment, which is the same one or in the same building that where they bought. He said, I can give you like $90 towards the apartment, which I think was like $4,000 a month. Something crazy.
So is he just flat out lying?
I think
Or
he's trying to
did
go,
they
oh,
split things 50-50 once?
right, right. He's playing by Kris's rules. So Sean asked
She
Danielle,
looked shocked. She looked completely bewildered at the
yeah,
50%. Like, how is he saying these words? None of this is true.
she pays the rent with the money that I give her. So Sean says, Danielle, is this true? And she goes, no, we don't split everything 50-50. And he wants to feel like he has power in this situation because he feels humiliated. And I have no idea who I'm going to get when I walk off this stage. He's never really learned to have a healthy relationship. So I have to be either unbelievably patient and not let myself get impacted by it, or I have to leave because I don't see him ever changing. So Sean says, Johan, where do you feel it stands right now? And he goes, 1 to 10, Sean, it's a 0. And Sean goes, okay, 30 minutes ago. Okay, I got it. All right. Johan, do you feel it can get back to a 10? And he goes, no. And Danielle says, there are a lot of other things going on here, not just Taylen, and he should be willing to go to therapy to figure out the root of the problem. Johan goes, no, I will not do it. We don't do that here. No. Okay. So Sean says, Taylen, how are you feeling about all this? And Taylen says, I don't know. I think Danielle should have the right to have whatever friends she wants. Thank you for joining us, Taylen. Have a good day. Also, Tim and Veronica, goodbye. We're not going to solve this. So they all walk off the stage.
I'm
Well,
surprised Veronica doesn't have a thing for Taylen. Because
she's got Jamal right now. She's dating Jamal.
No, I thought they had broken up.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know
Well,
the
it
answer.
was just a fling anyways. They were not
Okay.
serious, I think.
Okay. All right. Relax. You have a real strong opinion on this.
Do I?
Yeah, you seem to be real strong on it. Like, no, they broke up. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Jamal is mine.
Not at all. But on Single Life, they were like dating. They were both dating other people, or she was only dating him, but he was dating other people, and she was fine with it. And Tim was like, you said you wanted a husband and now you're dating this F boy and you're fine with it. I don't buy any of this. It was a whole
No, but
thing.
they've pretty recently been seen together in an
Oh, so
airport,
maybe they are.
shooting a scene in an airport.
Oh
Mm,
God.
mhm.
I like Jamal. He's funny on Pillow Talk with Kim.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like him at that reunion though. Remember, he got real like, "What? I'm a player. I'm gonna bang all the bitches. Who cares?"
Right,
You
right.
remember? Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Sean says, "Okay, thank you for joining us, Taylen. Bye, bye, Tim and Veronica. Go back to your seats in the back." And then she says, "There have been a lot of hurdles, and we hope you can work them out. And with that, thank you all for opening up. It's been a pleasure watching your journeys on 90 Day the Other Way. See you next time."
Who has it been a pleasure watching, Sean? I would like to know.
Just Gabe and Isabel.
Just Gabe
Just
and
Gabe.
Isabel, right?
That's it. And
Yeah.
Monica, she's real pretty to look at. It was nice
I
to look
mean,
at
it
her
was
too. Yeah.
entertaining, but was it a pleasure?
Yeah. It was a pleasure watching Debbie just have the absolute wrong take on everything. Yeah.
Falling in love with that donkey, that was pleasurable to watch.
Matt and Jake put out a
I
3-part
saw
series,
it.
Debbie and the Donkey. I was like, you guys.
They're so extra. I love it. I love it.
Mm. So then we get kind of the end talking heads where everybody's kind of gathering up their stuff to leave. And talking head Danielle says, "No, I don't think the relationship is really over, but I never actually have any idea how he's going to respond to things. I'll fight for my marriage. And, I love him very much. We're both very emotional and we say things we don't mean when we're angry. And we both need to work on that. We came into the relationship, both of us, with so much trauma, and we really need someone to help us work through all of it. And I'm hoping I can talk him into going to therapy."
I don't know.
Spoiler alert, they're not together anymore. She was just on the Instagram live the other day talking about him being verbally and physically abusive, and that's why she had to leave him.
Oh my gosh. Not
Hmm.
even surprised. Wow.
That's what she said. So, talking head Gabe
Wow.
says,
That's not that's terrible.
"Yeah, you could just look up Danielle's live," and she's like, "Yeah, people are saying I should stay with him. What do I should I stay with the person that's physically abusive? No, should I stay with someone?" And you could tell she's in New York City. It's like honk honk, beep beep, honk honk. That's all the
The
street
city she
traffic
hates.
behind her. Yeah, she's like, "Here I am back in this shithole." So, talking
She gave
head,
up her 401k or retirement, whatever.
$10,000 a year she gave up. Not a bright move. Talking head Gabe says, "Everyone has problems, and Isabel and I love each other very much, and maybe she'll come to the US one day on a visitor visa." Nothing else to say there. Talking head Jeymi says, "Kris is an excellent liar and manipulator, and the whole world fell for it." And
I
yeah,
don't think the whole world fell for it. Only Kimberly fell for it.
um,
No one else is
and
on
Debbie,
Chris's
and
side.
Debbie,
It's
and
just
Debbie.
me and Debbie just hanging in. We're dying on this hill for some unknown reason that I still don't understand. But no one fell for it, Jeymi. You're good. Everyone still likes you.
And she says she's gonna try to date again, but she has to look for the return of her trusted women. She doesn't know when that could possibly happen. And we see Kris standing up and rubbing her neck as if like, "Don't forget neck problems." But the question here is, we never got resolved why they both said they were not married to each other when we saw that they were married to each
Right.
other.
Was that just a metaphorical, I've cut her out of my life? Or was that marriage never legal?
They never finished the paperwork. Like, who
Yeah.
knows?
What
So
happened to
talking.
that zombie food truck? That's what I would like to know. Because we never got our food truck race spinoff.
I mean, if
And
she's
I
got so
think
much.
that would be a great idea. It's like Match Me Abroad, but it's
Uh
someone
huh.
going to run a food truck in another country. Matt
Oh my
Sharp,
God.
call me.
Mm, all right. And her talking head, Kris says, "Everything about today was hard, and I felt judged by my castmates. And, Jeymi sure plays a good victim. I will never talk to her again." Okay. All right. Talking head Jen says, "I don't regret falling in love and loving Rishi. I'll never regret it. And I don't regret letting myself be vulnerable and love him and be loved. And even if it doesn't work out, I'll never regret it. But after all this, we both know we love each other, and that's it. That's all we can do." So basically, you just talked in a circle and nothing is established.
Yeah. Nothing has changed in
Talk,
3 years.
talking head Oussama says, um, "I've loved Debbie before, but I don't love her now. I want to say goodbye in a nice way because she was nice to me. And I always had this vision, a poetic vision, to end things in a kind way so we can be friends. Now, when he says vision, a poetic vision, each eye is going in a different direction. And I had paused my TV to take notes and I looked up. I was like, this is just, you can't write it. You couldn't write it.
I know.
You couldn't write it. It just,
one of the Instagram posts was like, who was the biggest villain this season? And it had a bunch of their pictures. And I wanted to put Oussama's left eye or something, but I thought that would be too mean because he can't help it.
No, he can't help it. He can't help it. But he's also a scammer.
Yes,
So,
he absolutely is. Yeah.
Talking head Debbie says, seeing Oussama was really strange. He almost seemed like a corpse or a mugshot. What happened to my Mr. Strange Wonderful? I want him to have a better life with or without Miss Debbie. So be it. I didn't close the door to Oussama, although everyone wants it shut, locked, and bolted. I am very loyal, and he was my best friend in my darkest time. But Miss Debbie is not stupid. He would have to do some big things to bring Miss Debbie back to Morocco.
No, nothing he can do. Nothing. Also, did you call him Mr. Strange Wonderful, Oussama? Oussama, Mr. Strange and Wonderful. Like, did she call him that? Like when they
She
were
said, "What happened to my
cuddling?
What happened to my Mr. Strange Wonderful?"
There's my Mr. Strange and Wonderful, Oussama.
Not strange and wonderful.
Oh,
Strange
sorry,
Wonderful.
Mr. Strange Wonderful, Oussama. I need to hear more like about their nicknames for each other because that's hilarious.
Don't forget the nights in Casablanca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened there? Apparently nothing. But
nothing.
Still.
He wanted to get it on, but
yeah. No. Did he?
No.
She says what did she say? He was trying to get amorous with him, with her.
Try to pull a Barry White on her. Let's get it on. So, in her talking head, Nicole says, the takeaway here is it is extremely difficult to break free from traditions. They're so strong on these men. You have to be patient, but not excuse it. I've decided that I'm no longer going to enable his insecurity. He's an amazing human, he is, but I have to be clear-headed and strong to push past the fear or hesitation to say what needs to be said or has to be said. We have to create our own culture as a couple in order to move forward. And that's my goal, especially when he gets to the U.S. Cue the scenes of them running through the airport. She has red hair.
She has red hair, yeah.
What looks good on her?
I still just think the haircut is way too harsh.
It's the Buster Brown Cracker Jack box haircut.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Lego hair. You just click right on. Just click. Yeah.
Yes, it exactly
right?
What it is.
The Lego man,
exactly.
you click it right on the top. It's like a little helmet.
Exactly. She's right. The show is very complicated because they all have so many cultural differences and they're each very tied to them. That's what makes the show so complicated. And there's not always a good person and a bad person. It's like they just both think they're right because they both have their cultures that they grew up in. They should all never let's all just date in our lanes.
Well,
except Gabe and Isabel, I'm rooting for them.
I think that her saying we have to create our own culture as a couple in order to move forward was a pretty poignant statement. They have to.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, they have to create their own thing together and not like you're right or I'm right. Yeah.
I don't know if he can do it.
I don't know.
And when Danielle said some men that are very traditional in their culture, when they see people that aren't, they either loosen up or they dig in their heels. He seems to, from what we've seen, be a type who will come to America, see the women dressed however they want, and he will dig in his heels and be more controlling of her. So,
especially because it's going to be on TV.
Yeah,
he doesn't want Ahmed to see that he's not controlling his woman.
Good point.
Yeah, he's not pushing his woman to do good.
Sorry, I wasn't advocating for everyone only dating within their own like ethnicity and culture and race. That's not what it's. Did that sound like that? I just think no one should date. It's always a disaster. Let's just all say single.
No, because then I wouldn't have a job. No, all these people have to date each other. No, I understood what you were saying. Like, if you're going to date outside your culture, you're going to have to bend. You're going to have to compromise. And
Right, and
you have
these
to
people
compromise and they have to compromise. Like everyone has to compromise. You
and
can't
no
just be
one
like
seems
my way. Yeah.
willing to. Yeah.
Yeah. In a
Or
lot of these
and
cases.
learn about other people's culture before you visit, before you get into a relationship.
Yeah. I was
Don't
surprised
convert to
that,
a religion you know nothing about.
yeah. I mean, nobody said when Ahmed and Mahmoud started laughing hysterically about Mahmoud texting a girl inappropriately, nobody said this is just their culture. They just laugh about things that are uncomfortable. Nobody said that because it's not true, I don't think.
We're still waiting to hear from Bunkies.
Yeah, listen, somebody reach out because like I said, somebody did reach out to say that the whole thing about Venezuelans having a very hard time getting a job in Colombia, no matter how qualified you are, was true.
Yeah, and that
Um,
was good to know.
And I got a really great DM this morning about Match Me Abroad and Harold. And the monkey that wrote said she's on the autistic spectrum. And it is true what Harold was saying is it's hard for him to be an active listener because while
Yeah,
someone else is talking, he's trying very hard to think about what he's going to say next. So it's hard for him to be an active listener.
I
And
know,
she
and
said,
that was like the one thing the matchmaker told him to do. She's
yeah.
like, the
So he
one thing
tried.
you need to do.
He tried. But
He
what she
really
said is
tried,
that,
and that
she said
lady was
that,
giving him nothing.
uh, nothing but bad teeth. But um but Harold, she was saying that her friend, the listener wrote me and said, my friends know that I'm listening if it appears that I'm not listening at all. Then
Oh,
I'm really paying
interesting.
attention because it appears that I'm not paying attention. But they know if I am nodding and doing
Right.
verbal cues back to you when you're talking that I haven't heard anything you've said because I'm too busy thinking of doing the correct verbal cues back. So I
That
haven't heard
totally
what you
makes
said.
sense. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
Thanks her a
But
lot for
then
writing
how do
me.
you date first dates? Because like your friends, thank God, know you and understand you and like they
Yeah.
know how you work and how your brain processes. But how do you explain that to someone on a first date? You know,
Yeah.
that's
To
very
listen to you, I'm going to
difficult.
look to the side and concentrate
Right.
on what you're saying. I'm not going to look you in the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult.
It's
That's
very
why I said
challenging. Yeah.
he might be on the wrong show. That's why I said that. But I don't think his wife is in Prague. I don't.
I don't
I don't.
think so either. Um,
We could be wrong, but
but I think
I
he
feel
absolutely can find someone.
sure. I think so too. And next week he's getting a makeover. So
Yeah, I can't wait to see what that looks
yeah,
like.
yeah.
Is he
Excited
still
about
gonna
that.
stick with the suspenders, but just maybe different shades or
Maybe under a jacket.
oh,
Maybe
yeah.
not. Maybe not
Mhm.
as your primary accessory.
Yeah.
Right.
That girl that he was on a date with, the one
Uh
on the
huh.
boat,
Hmm.
what's her deal?
Teresa. Uh, she's used to dating assholes
Yeah.
and she wanted a nice cuddly guy, but it turns out she doesn't because would prefer an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. Why I don't know why the matchmaker set them up.
Because just like we see on all these shows, they say, I'm going to give you exactly what you
Right.
want to
Yeah.
show you that you don't
Right.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Harold
Yeah.
does also seem to be one of the men on these shows, like what's his face that went to Ukraine 17 times that
David,
thinks their
wig.
way
Mhm.
that thinks they should have a model, like a supermodel. And it's
Right.
like, but what are you bringing to the table, sir?
I don't think Harold thinks he should have a model. I just think he's like, here's what I think is pretty. Can you get
Yeah.
me something like that? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, he thought Teresa was great. And I'm here to tell you, she was no model.
She was a
Right.
little she sort of was a little busted.
Right. And he thought she was perfect. So,
I
that's
kept
what we're
seeing
working with here.
something here. Dude, was there
Hmm.
something there?
It was her teeth were, there was a problem in her
I
front
think there
teeth.
was a
Was a problem.
problem. I don't know. I mean, just wasn't very nice to Harold, and I didn't like that. She could have been way nicer.
Yeah. She could have been way nicer. And I do like that we see next week, Katerina saying, this shirt would be fine in Hawaii, but not in Prague.
But I'm really enjoying the show. I'm glad you told me to watch it.
Isn't it
The
good? It's just
blonde
good.
lady
Yeah.
is just very
Susan. Yeah.
headstrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that guy wasn't a good listener. So, but she's acting like it was the biggest disaster ever. And he was a
Keisha and I
horrible
really went back and
person.
forth. Keisha really thought that he just was nervous and
I
there
think
was
so too.
cameras and
Yeah.
she should have given him a second date just to see,
Yeah.
but then again, if Yeah,
It's
if
really
his
his
behavior,
personality.
because you can't change somebody's personality. You could change if you don't like the way they dress or too flashy or whatever she could have an issue with, you could change. But
Yeah,
somebody's core personality of being like misogynistic or rude, you can't change.
right. But I
And
think he
that's
was
the,
just nervous.
yeah, but I think also we didn't see the whole thing. So
That's true.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, guys, it's a great show. I'm covering that on Mondays, and Match Me Abroad with Keisha. So here's what's coming up on the podcast: Pink Shade Pod on Instagram. I am waiting to find out about a co-host for Bravo Breakdown this week. Where we'll be talking, of course, about Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion part 1, Scandival reunion part 2, also known as Vanderpump Rules. Over on Supercast, I'm covering Jewish matchmaking with Kimberly and Katie of A Date with Dateline. They
Yay!
are also putting it over on their Patreon and Supercast. And on regular Prime, which is Supercast and Patreon, I'm covering 90 Day Love in Paradise with Amy Archer. And soon we'll be adding in Temptation Island, which starts in a couple of weeks. Yes, I'm so excited.
Fun.
Yeah. But guys, stay tuned right here in this spot because next week, Kimberly of A Date with Dateline, follow them on Instagram and listen to their podcast, or A Date with K and K on the old YouTube about Yellow Jackets. Oh,
Yes.
I'm gonna be on there next week with you.
Yay!
Yeah, so just
So
talk a little
excited.
bit.
Yeah, just a little chit chat about the Yellow Jackets.
Next week, Kimberly and I will be right here talking about 90 Day, before the 90 days. We got a whole new set of people, except for Gino and Jasmine, and we're holding out our opinions on that till we see them.
I am. And I really haven't looked at any pictures, literally, until I see her new face. I'm excited.
And body. Yep.
And body.
Yep.
Everything. I'm
Yeah.
excited. But it seems like her jealousy, she did not have surgery on.
No, she could not remove that jealousy when she got 3 of her ribs removed or whatever she did. I don't know.
Oh, God.
I got to tell you something about Jasmine. And you and I were talking about this before. She is so natural. When we first saw her, so naturally beautiful. I mean, she
Yeah.
had some work done at that time and
Yeah.
works very hard on her, up in the gym, working on her
Yeah.
fitness, it just makes me really sad when people do that. Like Larissa is a good example of just like,
Someone,
why do
you were already beautiful.
why'd you
Yeah.
have to do all that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of body dysmorphia. And then they all think the look is the same. We all want to look like the Kardashians or that
Something similar.
contour. Let's contour and we're all going to look the same. We're all
Yeah.
supposed to look different. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard a dermatologist this week on Casey and Danielle's Garbage World podcast. And there's a dermatologist on there that was saying that that's kind of really the issue she has with people coming in and doing things like they're so young and they're getting their face filled up or done whatever. And they're trying to all look the same, but they're like 20 years old or 25 years old and are trying to mold their face into something that it's just not. And it's just, you don't need that.
No.
You need to do that.
And also look at Lori Vallow because she was all of those filters, they go away. Not the filters, the fillers, they dissolve. And then you're in prison and you look haggard.
Like a handbag with braids is what she looks like. A braided handbag is what Lori Vallow looks
your
like. Your
outside finally matches your inside. So
that's right.
If you're going to fill your face, just don't go to prison so that you can maintain.
What's Jen Shaw doing in prison right now?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Lori Vallow, we know she got, all charges, whatever, murder, whatnot. What about Chad? When does he go on trial?
Next year. But people are thinking he might take a deal. There might not be a trial.
What would the deal be? I've killed lots of people.
If he flips on her, but they already have charged her. But they have other. They're still charging her first husband. Her first husband that died mysteriously. It was her third husband, Charles. Fourth husband. Sorry, it's so hard to keep track of. Charles. That murder trial still might happen, where she is being charged with Charles's murder also. So,
well, her brother did it.
Right, but she was an accessory. She encouraged him to do it.
Right.
So,
and also her brother that
Chad
died
was involved in that, there might be more information. So they might, I don't know.
But her brother died, and it seems like he was pretty instrumental in a lot of these deaths. or
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
attempted murders. Yeah.
Alex for sure. And they were
Yeah.
probably sleeping together. That's my theory. There was a lot of incest going on, I think, between them. There have been some stories.
What?
I thought it for a
What?
long time. He just seemed so devoted to her in a very unnatural way. And then stuff started to come out, like weird things. Like one time he picked her up and put her legs around his waist and was like jumping up and down like they were pretending to be having sex. Like just weird things. I think he was very obsessed with his sister. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Kimberly, I didn't want to know any of
I
that.
know. It
Oh my
gets so much
God.
worse.
The
But
murdering is bad enough.
Chad may just take a deal to avoid the death penalty, maybe. I'm not sure.
Why? If he could take the death penalty, he can go ahead and go on up and be with the
Maybe he
144,000.
doesn't believe anymore. I don't know.
Maybe not.
Maybe he
Maybe it was
never
all for the
believed.
podcast. Maybe it was
Yeah.
all for the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. And the books.
Well,
The
that was
self-published books.
that was Chad Daybell corner.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. All right, everybody. Again, follow us over on Instagram. Date with Dateline is at Dateline, and we are at Pink Shade Podcast. And we will talk to you this week. Bye, Kimberly.
Bye.